Hey guys, welcome to Elite Fitness. Today we're going to talk about when's a good time to use bands in your training, resistance bands. I would say that bands are good if you want to progress in weight. Like say you can do 225 easy, but 315 just a little bit hard. So what you may want to do is put 225 on like machine. But say if you had 245s in here in the band, that band's probably an extra 20-25% on each side of resistance. So as that gets easier, you take those bands off, then that weight is a lot easier. So it's going to help you progress in weight as you go. So it's a good way to up your intensity too. So you feel the resistance coming down out of the whole time and going up and back. It's just a little bit more resistance, like something's pulling against the weight. And I'll show you the proper way to hook this up. What we did is we looped it around here. And you want to be careful too. If you're using some hammer strength at my gym, please don't put them around these metal bolts, because what that does, when the band's stretching, it gets one of these bolts right here, it'll split the bands. And these bands, I mean, I've replaced probably 50 of these things over the last 2 years, where people will just put it against a screw, and over time it just slices the band, and you'll be doing something and the band will just pop like a rubber band. But the proper way is just to double loop it right there and go around the weight horn where the weight goes and put the weight over it. So when you get in there, I'm going to show you a rep with the bands. The good thing about the bands is it's a lot of resistance. That should be easy right there, but it's actually hard. I'm feeling resistance the whole way. It's a 45. I feel like I got two 45s on there. And as you go up, it gets hard. Like right there, it's hard, harder, hardest on the lockout. But it's a good way to incorporate a good pump and make the exercise a lot harder and give your exercise a lot more intensity. And there's other exercises you can put the band to work too. We're going to show you band work on a flat bench too, how I would set that up. All right guys, second movement that's great for band work is the bench press. It gives you some extra resistance the whole time, just like that does. But the good thing about a band on the bench press, if you have a sticking point, especially powerlifters, and you're here and you're stuck and you can't get it up, the band will help you get through that, because it puts that resistance at the most about right here to lock out using the band. So if you're ever in a contest and you're having those problems, you may want to try some band work for maybe 4 or 5 weeks to get past that pushing point where you get stuck at. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to set this up. It's the same way I set that up. You're going to go all the way under the bench and all the way up, and then put the weights on each side. See how the band's underneath the bench and the plates against it, and you really feel it right coming off. Like right there, total stress on the muscle already. Feels great. Again, I'm feeling that most. I'm feeling right when I unrack it. It's like a lot of tension coming down, but as you're coming down, it's less and less and less, and then bam, hits like a ton of bricks, and it's a lot coming up. So it really gets you through those sticking points. Another good way to intensify your training by making your training more intense, putting that constant tension on the muscle, which is what you want. All right, a third thing for the bands would be the belt squat, and it's already got these pegs on the belt squat down here. Just loop a mid-sized band around there, then put the 45 behind it. All right, so that was the third thing I showed you for bands if you're gonna do legs. Another thing is the squat racks are kind of taken up, but you can also do that on squats too. Take a band and loop it around the bottom of the squat rack, or if you have a peg, put it around the peg and pull up on each side of the barbell. And when you walk out, it's gonna pull you down. So if you constant tension on your quads going up and down. So I really do recommend the regular squat with the band. Okay, a fourth exercise that's good for the bands is the deadlift. You run these the bands over these two pegs, front to back, over the bar on both sides, and that's going to give you more resistance coming up. Same as the bench press that I told you about. When you come off with it, it's totally resistance, and when you're coming down and up, it's more resistance. The same with the deadlift. If you have trouble locking out, you may want to work these into your program. So if you have trouble, if you're deadlifting from here to here, these things work great. Feels like it adds about 50 pounds. Nothing going down. Coming up a lot more and the most right there. So far I've showed you how to add resistance to a lift by using bands. This in here actually takes some resistance off. And the only reason I would suggest that is if you have some bad knees or you just want to really concentrate on your quads on the hack squat. Some people find it a little bit uncomfortable coming out of the hole because it puts a lot of stress on the kneecaps at the very bottom. But this thing, it kind of gives you a little spot at the bottom, just at the bottom part, but the rest coming all the way up to all quads. It just gives you a little bit of cushion, and it's basically knee safety. But I like to do hack squats with these. Like I said, no added resistance, but coming down, it's taking a little bit off the knees. It's kind of pulling up a little bit while I'm coming up. Doesn't hurt my knees at all in the bottom position. Kind of gives it a little spot. So if you have knee issues or you're trying to prevent knee injuries, stick with this on the hack squat. You'll like it. It just takes a little bit of resistance off, gives you a little bit of spot at the bottom, but doesn't take any of the weight off from this point up. It's just at the very bottom. It gives you a little bit of kick at the bottom. All right, guys, I just showed you 5 exercises using bands. And, you know, there's different size bands. I'll show you some thicker ones, too. Got all kinds of bands over here. These are for, like, maybe if you're a heavy guy, so you're 250 plus, and you want to tie it around the pull-up bar and put your feet in one. It kind of gives you some assistance on pull-ups. That's another great idea we should talk about sometime. Adds to the intensity of some pull-ups. If you can't get 1 or 2 pull-ups, but you can get 10 with a band to really get a good lat pump. But these bands come in all sizes. Here's some short ones too. Some ladies like to put this around the waist when they're doing lunges and stuff. And also, these are the ones I use on the Rogue belt squat because they're smaller and it's more tension as you're going up. That's 5 things I showed you. Basically, all of them are adding resistance to the lift, which is going to help you increase strength and size and get a better pump and help you if you're powerlifting or a strongman and you're looking for those lockouts that you're failing at. A band can assist you in getting better at that by putting a progressive overload on the movement at the top. And also, I showed you one avenue of how to take some resistance off the knees by using bands as a self-spotter out of the hole in a hack squat. But all those are excellent ideas. If you want to work bands out in your routine, give it a try. I don't think you'll be sorry. And please like, subscribe, and share.